Hi, Nicole. Welcome to
Hi.
Parental Vision podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely lovely to have you. How are you today?
Fantastic.
That's good.
Yeah.
Well, obviously you're here
Yes.
because you're a mom.
Yes.
So please tell me a little bit about yourself, and let's start from when you officially found out you were pregnant. Let's always start from the beginning, right?
Oh gosh. So I'm a mom of a 9-year-old, and what can I say? When I found out that I was pregnant, you want me to get into the nitty-gritty?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I was suffering with an addiction at the time, actually. And so when I found out that I was pregnant, I sort of decided, like, I'm just going to stop everything. And I did. So, I was suffering for probably about like a decade at that time with substance abuse. And so, quit everything. Then I had the baby. And unfortunately, I relapsed after he was born. I broke my tailbone during delivery, so I got prescribed pain medication, which is what I was prescribed to before, and that kind of fueled that again. So the very beginning parts of motherhood for me were really, really rough. But that baby, honestly, he saved my life. He saved my life in every way, shape, or form, because when he was almost turning 3 is when I went to treatment, and I got treatment, and I've been sober since. So I no longer suffer with an addiction. I'm 6 years clean, and he's 9. So it's kind of an unconventional story. It's not like the normal everyday, everybody's in such bliss when they become a parent. I wish that was my story, but unfortunately it's a little different. Yeah.
Well, it's a story.
It's a story, all right.
I'm sure that a lot of women can resonate with it because I'm a recovery and addiction case manager.
Oh.
So I sit down with a woman daily. So there's a lot of women that could resonate with your story, learn from it, get some uplifting from it the more we get into it.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Were you, okay, so when you first found out you were pregnant, and I know you said you were battling addiction.
Yeah.
Besides that, because we're going to get into that.
Yeah.
Were you like scared, like, oh shit, I can't be a mom?
Terrified. But at the same time, there was something that just gave me this strength within me that, like, it is no longer about me. I have to fight everything I have within me for this little thing. It's no longer about me. So in that respect, that's how he sort of like saved me in a way, because it no longer becomes about you anymore. It's all about this unborn baby that's going to be a human being, and what do they deserve?
Exactly.
Yeah.
What's that feeling like? I know I had that feeling too with my daughter as well, with things I had going on. It's like a supernatural tugging on your heart, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
And you just can't fight it.
You can. It's like an out-of-body relationship in a sense. It's just this, how can I describe it? It's like your soul steps in and just says, it's time to get your shit together.
Yes, literally.
I mean, yeah. So, but you know what? Being a parent, it's the best thing. I mean, we were over the moon, overjoyed. I was married at the time, so it was with my, husband, and we were ecstatic. We were, excited to welcome a new baby into. So I tell the story of addiction that ties into me finding out that I was pregnant, but really it still was a happy time. As much as I was struggling and battling my own demons within, it was still a happy moment and a happy time. And that little boy means he's the world to us, of course. Every little guy is the world to their mom. Yeah.
I'm jealous. I want a boy.
You will have one.
Yeah. But this isn't about me, I guess. So what were
It can be.
It can be.
Yeah,
we can talk about each other, right?
I love it.
What were some of the substances you were struggling with?
Opiates, and so Percocet, painkillers. I was prescribed painkillers for a very, very long time, and it was given to me for legitimate reasons. I was a chronic pain patient, and over time I just got addicted, and also to Xanax, which when you mix the two, it can be a lethal combination, but that is pills was my addiction. Like I said, it was prescription, and they were very, they were prescribed for very, very valid reasons. But it happens.
When did you know that you had an addiction problem?
Probably just a few months after I was prescribed to them, because I was in a bad car accident.
Okay.
So I was the only survivor. My boyfriend and my friend were ejected from the car and killed. So I was the only survivor. That happened when I was like 19. So right away I was prescribed a lot of meds. And I would say within the first few months, I didn't notice any difference. But then over time, like slowly but surely, I was needing more in a shorter span. And then before I knew it, I couldn't stop, and I couldn't navigate my day without taking something. And so it just sort of snowballed from there. Yeah.
And your family, did they take any notice to any changes in you?
I think so. I think they knew how much the car accident really messed me up. They knew that I was struggling. I think that they thought it was more trauma related. They knew that I was prescribed stuff. I don't think that they knew, especially after like the first couple of years, I don't think that they connected the two so much. I think that they thought that the trauma from the accident ultimately altered my behaviors and my personality in such a way.
Yeah.
And I think that's everybody just sort of dismissed any type of like erratic behavior that I had. I think a lot of people just dismissed it like, oh, she was in a horrible car accident and that's why she is the way she is.
Yeah, she's just going through.
She's just going through it.
Yeah.
And I was going through it for many years. Yeah.
So when you said the baby, when he turned 3, you had a relapse.
So I had a relapse immediately at the hospital. So he was only a couple hours old. I was in so much pain from him. He broke my tailbone during delivery. So it was just in the position that I was laying in and how he was coming out. It doesn't happen often. It's very rare for it to happen.
Yeah.
But I was like the lucky one out of very few people that's ever happened to. So it happened and I was in so much pain. I couldn't sit. It was so painful.
Excruciating.
Yes. So I remember the nurse came in and she's like, if you want a pain pill, I'll get you something, but make sure if you're not going to be breastfeeding. And I said, I'm not breastfeeding. Give me the pain pill. She didn't know about my history or anything.
Did she ask?
No. And I probably wouldn't have told her even if she did. I wasn't in a place to be honest about it. I wasn't in a place. I just figured that once I got myself clean during the pregnancy, that I was going to have the baby and nobody would ever have to know. I just figured it was going to all be behind me. And that was not the truth. I ended up relapsing when he was born. But by the time he was turning 3, so he was just around 2, almost at his 3rd birthday, is when I went to treatment. I went to a psych ward and I was there for 2 weeks and I got myself clean. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Did your significant other at the time, did he know? Was he aware of
He
your
was there.
addiction?
He took me to the hospital, actually. Yeah. So we were married. I found out that I was pregnant. We got married. I had the baby. A couple of years later, I went to treatment and we were married for about 7 years. But we've been divorced now. It's been over a year since we've been divorced. So yeah, no, it's all good. It was the best thing. When you are an addict, when you're struggling with addiction, when you have a lot of unhealthy behaviors and toxic traits about you, you tend to attract people similarly.
It's true.
And I didn't know how unhealthy we were until I started to clean up my act. And I went to therapy and I spent years getting myself individual therapy. And that shed a light on how unhealthy our marriage was. So
was that hard for you to come to terms with? Like, what was if you don't mind me asking,
oh please,
what was the most focal point moment, like, this marriage is over?
So when I started getting sober and cleaning myself up, I quit drinking. Our alcohol was a huge factor in our relationship, and I had decided that I wanted to put it all behind me. I just didn't want to self-medicate with anything anymore, even if it wasn't an addiction to alcohol. I just thought this is not healthy for anybody. And so I had told him, I want to get rid of all the alcohol. And, he wasn't all that supportive. And that was very eye-opening to me. And over time, over the years, like I just did a lot of internal work. I worked with the therapists, and I started to realize how unhappy he was the better I got. And so it wasn't until a couple years into my recovery, we were having a conversation, and I told him how unhappy I thought we both were in the marriage. And he said to me, you've really changed, and I miss the old you. I said, but the old me's gone, and she's never coming back. And by old me, that was
the drugs,
a pill addict, insecure, walking red flag. Like I could see it clearly now. Looking back, I was like, wait, that's what he was attracted to. I was easy to manipulate, and I was easy to control when I was high, and I had no self-esteem. And that was what he wanted. And I realized I deserve better. I thought at the time that we deserved a happy marriage, that we deserved something better. And then I realized if he's not on the same plane as me, then I know I deserve more. And so I made the decision to leave. It was hard, but yeah.
But you did it.
Yeah.
You want to know something? I barely ever talk about myself on this.
Please do.
Would you believe me if I told you I had pill addiction too?
You did.
In my 20s.
What were you addicted to?
Naproxen, Tramadol, oxycodone, Vicodin.
Wow.
Percocets. Yeah, I did. And I had a alcohol abuse problem because my therapist told me alcoholic and alcohol abuser are two different things. Yeah. Still navigating that definition, but I do resonate with everything you're saying. Wow. And unfortunately, when you are in that world, in that, bad place, you do attract not so great people.
Exactly.
So when you said that you were a walking red flag and you were easy to manipulate, easy to control, and all those things, do you think that in a way he was that way? Like, was he insecure about himself and it just was a reflection on you? Like, do you think that we attract literally our own demons, if you will?
Yes.
Okay.
100%. And on the flip side of that, I believe that when you're a good person, whatever you are putting out into the world, I truly believe is what you are attracting and getting back. So if you are a walking red flag, putting out all kinds of, toxic behaviors, you're going to attract that in friends, family members, and partners. Did you feel that way when you, looking back, like, did you also attract a lot of the same?
Yeah, I didn't attract a lot of good people.
Yeah.
And I can say I didn't attract a lot of good men. I didn't attract good friends. I don't want to be mean, but I just attract like garbage. You know what I mean? Because I kind of felt that way about myself.
Yeah.
But I took the steps to make the changes just like you have. And that's why I'm staring. I feel like I'm looking in a mirror while you're talking, getting all misty eyed. But I will say, like, the whole thing that made me stop the pills as well, I got pregnant when I was 21. It's amazing what these babies, like, this power that they help us possess, and like, just, I don't know how we just do it, but we just do it for them. And so even the relapses, I can resonate with that as well. But when you look into their eyes, there's something in them that makes you say, like, no more. And it is a struggle.
Yes.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
And I feel as though it's very real when you start seeing those little babies mimic everything you do.
Yes.
And then I realized the one day he's watching me, and he was taking some like pieces of candy the one day, and he was just like doing this motion. And I'll never forget, it's like crystal clear to me that I saw him do that, and I thought, he sees me do that behind closed doors when nobody's watching. He sees me pop open my pill bottle, even though I'm thinking I'm doing it away and no one's watching, and he's so young, he doesn't know what I'm even doing.
Right.
And here's this 2-year-old little baby, and I don't know if he was necessarily mimicking me per se, but something in me saw the correlation between the two, and I thought, this is not good. This is not good. They're going to mimic, and this is the type of mother he's going to grow up with. And shortly after that is when I went to treatment, but still, it's very eye-opening. Like you said about, you just have this like power within you that, you're willing to push no limit, I guess you can say, on how you conjure up this strength that you just don't know that ever existed until you became a mom.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Moms are the closest thing to God.
Yeah.
They say it all the time, and I
Yes.
wholeheartedly believe that. No shade to the dads, though.
No
But
shade, but we are goddesses in our own right.
that's right. We're the
Yes.
walking earth angels.
Yes, I agree.
When you were admitted to the psych ward,
Yeah.
what was it like in there? And were you able to get visitations with the baby, or?
Yeah, so I was allowed, but his father did not think that it was appropriate, if you will, and we weren't sure if it would be healthy for him to see me that way. It wasn't so much he didn't want to bring me to the place. The place would have been fine for him, but I was in such a dark place at the time. And so it was one of these things like, I'll be home in a couple of weeks. I really wanted to see him, but it was a decision that he kind of made. Like, I think we're just going to leave him home with your mom. I'll come see you. So he did. So I did have some visiting with him, but it was a wild ride for sure. I remember getting there. I was so disconnected from reality. They told me I had an episode of psychosis. And so I was in that for a very long time. I needed to be medicated. But while I was in it, I was literally losing all perception of reality. I did not know what was real and what wasn't. Wow. Yeah. So by the time I got to the psych ward, I was out of it. And I remember being very confused. Like, what am I doing here? Who are these people? Right. What is happening? And then I got medicated, fell asleep. And by the next day I woke up, I was like, oh, okay, this is very real. This is where I am. Mm-hmm. And at first I was still in denial. Like, I don't belong here. this is not for me. I don't belong here.
Yeah. I was going to ask you, what were the thoughts that went through your mind? Yeah.
Yeah. It was one of these things. I remember looking around at the other patients thinking, I don't belong here. These people are nothing like me. And then I found out the next day, all of the other patients were telling me how much of a hurricane I was when I came in, and they were telling me stories about how I was behaving, how I was acting, what I was doing that I almost don't have any recollection of. Like, I kind of do, but not really. It felt like a dream. And so when they told me that, I was like, oh, I absolutely belong in here, and I might be the worst one in here. Like, it was just one of those, like, okay, it was a come to Jesus moment. Like, I am accepting this in this, at first I was very resistant and very much in denial. Yeah.
But eventually you stepped up and you took accountability.
Yeah.
And bravo to you. Kudos to you.
Thanks.
Absolutely.
It's hard, especially when you're in that mindset of just being under the influence and addicted to substances. It's very hard to take responsibility and
very
accountability.
Difficult. Yes. Yeah. Like the admitting part is the first step, but I feel like it takes hell to get there.
Yes. Yeah, you definitely have to travel to some dark places to get there.
Yeah. It's like spiritual warfare.
Yeah, it is.
If you will.
100%. So funny you say that. That like hits me.
Yeah, it gets me every time. Yeah, because I remember what my moment was like, and it wasn't pretty. People have this perception that healing is like sitting in a freaking canoe in the middle of Lake Mohegan somewhere, and they're just, I don't know, looking at daisies and butterflies and wishing on a star. It's not like that. Like, you're in your room and you're crying and you're kicking and you're screaming. And I think for me and us as moms, the hardest thing about being a parent is trying to heal your own demons while trying to raise a child.
Yes.
That was so difficult. Can you resonate with that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure.
How did you separate it, though? Like, raising your son while still... Because I know when you got back from the psych ward, you weren't like 100%.
No, and I feel like that takes a really long time to even get in a headspace of a healthy place.
Yeah.
And I was trying to work things out so much I was trying to get myself better and healthy, and then realizing his dad and I are not healthy, so let me try to work on this relationship because I want to repair this marriage so that this baby has a fighting chance. And like at the same time, I'm trying to be a good mom, and it's like you're trying to juggle not only all of these relationships, because you're still at the end of the day not only a mom, you are a wife or a sister or a mom or a daughter and a coworker. Like, you have all these things to juggle. Yeah. While trying to figure yourself out in the process. And that's the hardest part. And it takes a long time, and people need to really be patient with themselves. I don't know about you, but I feel like, grace is the best.
You took the word out of my mouth. I was going to say, be gracious with yourself. Continue.
So you know.
Yeah.
I feel like you understand.
100%. Absolutely.
Was it how, if you don't mind me asking you, like, how long did it take you to battle between recovery, sobriety, and just like keeping yourself until you got to a healthy place?
Well, the difference with my story and yours, I didn't go to like a facility. I just literally found that I was pregnant and was like, I gotta stop. So that went on honestly from 18 to 21. I got pregnant at 21. And I was dead set, like I don't want to do this anymore because it was bad. It was to the point where like I couldn't even like date really unless I had a shot or something like that. I felt like I needed liquid courage to just get through my days. And then when I got pregnant with Dakota, the story is so interesting, and I've never told this story, and I'm the host, but I'll tell you. It's fine.
I'd love to hear
I'll
it.
tell you.
Yeah.
I was on a ladder at Trader Joe's. I used to work at Trader Joe's in Fairfield, and this lady, old lady, so no shade to her, she hit the ladder. I fell off the ladder. I went to the hospital. And I was like, I'm having like this sciatic nerve damage or whatever. I went like a couple days later, and they gave me a test, and I was pregnant. And I was like, no, test me again. Test 6 tests, because I was on birth control. Yeah. So I didn't think I didn't think I was pregnant, but I found that I was, and I was like, you know what? All right, the alcohol's out the window, and so is the Percocets and things like that. Yeah. And when I had her, I actually had to have an emergency C-section. I had toxemia, I had preeclampsia, I almost died. She almost died. I had to choose between save her or me. It was so traumatic. It's a horrible story. But to wrap it all up, they were trying to give me Percocets after the cesarean. And think about it, if I had her 6 weeks early, so I had her at 8 months. So think about it, if I hadn't had any pills in almost 9 months, I wasn't going back to that. Yeah. You do not know the hospital sent the psych doctor in my room because I wouldn't take the pain pills. Because I had just had an emergency C-section and they thought something was wrong with me. Really? So the nurse forced me to take half. Wow. No lie. I never told anyone this story. Yep, she forced me to take half, and I took it because if I didn't, I couldn't go upstairs to see my baby. And I just fought for my life to get her here. Unbelievable. So I took the half Percocet, and luckily I didn't relapse or anything like that, and I stayed off it ever since.
Wow. Well, congratulations.
No, thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank God you're here, and so is your baby.
Thank you.
Wow.
No, I appreciate it.
It's a huge story. Thank you for sharing.
Oh, 100%. Sure. Absolutely. And I still had my odds and ends and my battles with alcohol and things like that. But every day I just felt like try the one more day method. I don't know. Have you heard of it?
Of course.
Of course you have, because you get it. I was like, I'm going to try not to get drunk for one more day. I'm going to try not to use liquid courage to get through one more day, and then so on and so forth. Yeah. I'm here now.
Thank God you are. Thank God.
Thank you.
You're a bright light in the world. And so someone needed to hear that story.
Oh my God. Thank you
for sharing it.
Absolutely. Yeah. I feel like we mirror each other. So to sit here and pretend like everything's honky-dory, it's not cool.
It's not. And motherhood in the beginning, a lot of people, I don't know about you if you struggled with this, but I also struggled with trying to keep up with appearances based on what I saw on the internet and through my friends. So it was like trying to keep up with the Joneses, but parent style. So for me, I would see friends of mine making their own baby food. And I would think, well, what's wrong with me? I should be pureeing and everything. I should be doing that too. And then other people, they seem to have it all together. They had this perfect, they appeared to have a perfect, work-life balance with being a brand new mom. They always seemed so well put together. Yeah. And I was struggling with pills, but also postpartum. Yes. There was some depression in there. Yeah. And it was not this perfect picture place that I was expecting from what everybody else portrayed it to be. And so I felt less than. I felt so inadequate. But I wasn't. And that's the thing, and no mom is. And I think it's so important for new mothers, especially in the first couple of years. You as a new mom are required, it's such a high intense,
it's a lot of pressure,
so much labor. You're not getting any sleep. Sleep deprivation alone will send somebody over the edge.
Yes.
That will make anybody feel depressed. This is what I want to say, even without any type of pre-existing condition, okay? Take the substance abuse out, take, the depression out. Even if you've never struggled with any type of mental health issue whatsoever, you still can feel those heavy, this is such a dark place, or feeling depressed or feeling anxious and being worried. I was worried about everything. And, I think it's not talked about enough.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of moms out there that don't feel seen, heard, and they feel less than. And they are seen and they are heard.
Yeah.
It's just not talked about because society wants to paint it with a pretty red bow and slap that on and just say, it's perfect. Let's not talk about the issues.
And sweep it under the rug.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
And it's not right.
Yeah.
Because you have a bunch of mothers walking around literally screaming and you're not listening.
Yeah.
Or you don't hear them, like you said.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when you went through postpartum, how soon after you had the baby did you feel like, okay, I'm going through postpartum? Did you know initially?
So I don't know that I knew initially, really. It was, I don't think I knew. It was tough. The first couple of years was a very rocky road. And that kind of just flowed right into treatment for me. So it's hard to talk to me about being a brand new parent because I come from, a very different perspective. Mm-hmm. But, you do make it out on the other side. And for somebody that is feeling hopeless, if they're in that place and they feel like they're in such a dark place, like on the other side of that hopelessness and despair is like you can just find the peace. You can feel like it's just on the other side of that coin. And so I just want to give people hope to that because it can feel very hopeless and it is a struggle, but you do get through. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you're gonna make me cry. Oh my goodness. How many years did your postpartum last? Because I read when Dakota was born, when I knew I was going through it, I read it can last up to 5 years.
It might. I don't know. Mine felt like that for a couple of years.
Okay.
And then like I went to treatment shortly when he was like 2 and mm-hmm. a half, almost 3. And then I just started like therapy. And like as soon as I got out of treatment, I started intensive therapy. And I think whatever postpartum I was suffering mm-hmm. from in those first couple of years, I was getting intensive therapy and we were working out my trauma, PTSD, bad marriage. Like we were working it out. I was going every week. So I was getting intense therapy. And I think through talk therapy and antidepressants and just being on that path helped me with any type of postpartum that I was living with. Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah,
I went to therapy too. I'm still in it.
Yeah. Well, we all need it forever.
Let me tell you though, I swear I thought it's so stupid what I'm going to say. And I know the internet's going to chew me to pieces, but I don't think like this anymore. Disclaimer. I thought you can graduate therapy. That's what I thought back in 2018. Okay. I started going in 2015 because I had issues I needed to figure out.
Yeah.
And I thought you can graduate.
Yeah.
And then all of those like spiritual demons like we talked about came rushing back one day. And I was like, I got to go back to therapy. Like I need help.
Yeah.
And like I said, that was like a tough conversation to have with myself. But I threw myself in there. My therapist, I went back to my old therapist actually. Yeah. And I was like, I don't think you'll accept me. Oh. She was like, why would you think that? I was like, 'cause I graduated. She was like, Tiana, you don't graduate therapy, honey. You got to keep going. Like, come on back. It's okay. And she accepted me with open arms. And we talk every single week as well. So good. I love that. Yeah. But I wanted you to elaborate more for people who don't know. What is the definition and your definition, intensive therapy?
Going every week, staying committed to that and doing that for years on end and going and showing up, to me, diving into all the things that you are hiding, all the trauma, all the PTSD. My therapist did a wonderful job of just working it through. Like she had me work through all of it. That to me was intensive because I had never wanted to talk about anything. Like I knew I had survivor's guilt from the car accident, but I didn't know how much it affected me. Mm-hmm. I didn't know that every time I saw a car accident on the road, whether it was minor or major, I didn't realize that me being triggered in such a way that caused me to almost have panic attacks was something I needed to work through. And I remember her just getting me to a place where I felt safe enough to open up. And I remember thanking her years afterwards and just thanking her. I said, you have helped me change my life so much. And I said, you know, you did. And she goes, no, I didn't do anything. She said, you did that. And I looked at her and I go, I appreciate that. However, you gave me a safe space to share. And I never had that. I never had a place that I could go to and be open and vulnerable and honest without being met with either judgment or shame. Because, of course, you can't start talking about addiction or popping pills with people
judging
without
you.
somebody shaming you. Or people are so quick to be like, how could you do that? You were a mother. How could...
Yeah.
And they don't get it. They just don't get it. That's not their fault. They're not a licensed therapist, though.
Right.
And so I found, you know, also, too, when I went to therapy, I remember getting frustrated that she wasn't giving me advice. I had so many unhealthy relationships that I was always looking for. People were always giving unsolicited advice. Probably my whole life. And I thought that that was like a normal relationship.
Right.
So I started therapy expecting to get all this unsolicited advice on how to live my life.
Right.
And she didn't. So I remember getting very frustrated and I was like, you're not telling me what to do. What do I do with this? Or what do I do with that? And she would say to me, what do you think you would do? And I would get pissed. I'd be like, oh my God, just tell me what I'm supposed to do. And she'd say, I'm not going to tell you. This is not my life. This is your life. You have to figure it out. And that was huge. So that in itself taught me, oh, this is a different type of relationship. I'm not used to this. I'm used to people just telling me what to do, how to do it, where to go, who to be with. Like, I'm used to that. But you learn.
She taught you how to be in control.
Yes.
And how did that feel?
Love that you said that.
Yes.
That's perfect because you hit the nail on the head.
100%.
Yeah.
How did that make you feel when you finally started to gain some sense of control of your life?
It's everything to take that power back.
Yes.
It's everything.
It is.
Because when you're insecure, when you give the power away to other people, when you turn to others for external validation, you are giving you're giving your own power away.
Yeah.
When you start to step into that, not only do you gain back some of that power and that control, but you gain back your self-esteem, your confidence.
Yes.
Like, oh, I can do this. You learn to trust yourself a little bit more. And
you learn to trust
everything.
your gut. Yep.
Yeah. We're women, like you said. We are these intuitive creatures. And I think that we have been taught for so many years to ignore the intuition. Don't listen to your gut. It's anxiety. Like,
you're crazy.
You're crazy.
Yes.
Right? You're not, what are you talking about? You have a feeling. All these women have feelings. That is our superpower.
It is.
We have to tap into that. We have to listen to it. And it will guide you. It'll steer you clear from trouble.
Yes.
It'll put you on the path to the right way. You have to just tap into that. Yeah.
It'll keep you on that safe base.
Yeah.
100%.
On that straight and narrow. Every 100% of the time. Yeah. Yeah.
I love this. I adore you
I love
already.
you.
I love you too. Like, I adore you so much. Oh my God. I want to switch gears for 1 second.
Sure.
Tell me about your son. Do you mind telling me his name?
No, his name is Marcus.
That's my best friend's name.
Is it?
Yes.
Oh, hi, Marcus.
Hi, Marcus.
He's 9 and he is, gosh, he's the best kid. I really lucked out with this kid. I don't know what I did to deserve such a great baby. And I still call him baby to this day.
I do too. Dakota's 10. She's my baby.
Baby.
Yes.
In fact, recently I said to him, I know you're a big boy. And I said, and I'm sorry that I call you baby. And I don't have to call you that anymore. He said to me, but Mom, I am your baby. I know. So I'm going to hold on to that.
Yes.
For as long as I can until he tells me not to anymore.
Did you melt?
Of course. Yes, of course. And something about motherhood that they don't prepare you for is that they teach you more than, they're the best teachers. I have learned everything I need to learn, but not everything I need to learn, but everything about unconditional love. I did not know that it existed.
Yes.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
He's taught me how to love myself, how to respect myself, how to be strong,
Yes.
how to face fears. He taught me that. Be like my son, he doesn't even know he did, but like, I know.
Yeah. I'm going to cry. Oh my
Yeah,
God,
I am too.
I'm good. I'm holding it together. Oh my God. These little people, they don't realize how much they really do change us and how much they really save us, essentially.
Yeah.
I feel like if it wasn't for Dakota, I don't know where I'd be.
Yeah.
Everything I do is for her. Just like I'm sure everything you do is for Marcus.
Everything. Every move I make, everything I think of is how will this position me as a mom and position him as, how will this position us? Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's incredible. There was something else that I wanted to say about what he's taught me. Mm-hmm. And it slipped my mind.
It'll come back. Whenever it comes back, just interject.
Okay.
How is he in school? What kind of kid is he like?
Yes.
Like, tell me.
He likes school. He complains that it's a lot of work. I totally get it. Yeah. He doesn't love math, and I understand.
Me too. I wasn't good at math.
No. And it's super boring. And they focus so much on it. Like who wants to do parallelograms or whatever they're, you know what I mean? Like, I'm so glad I learned about
trigonometry.
Like instead of taxes. Like I wish I would have learned taxes instead of, but anyway, so he plays soccer. He loves soccer. That's his jam. And he's learning how to play the flute. He decided to sign up for the flute this year. So he's a well-rounded kid. He's real down to earth. He's just tells you, I think what I love about kids is that this is what I was going to say that slipped my mind. They're not jaded. They're not, they haven't been sold too many stories. They haven't been sold the dream. Like as we become adults, it's like we get programmed for whatever it is between our childhood, the adults in our childhood into high school. You get it. You're impressionable. And kids at his age are they're the truth. Everything is the truth, and they're not jaded, and they're not coming from a super opinionated place based off of what other people have fed them. They're coming from their inner being, just who they are. They're listening to their higher voice. And that is something I respect so much from them. And I think that's why they're our best teachers. Yeah.
I think so. You do agree that you can learn from your kids?
I think we should. I think that we are supposed to. I don't know what drives me nuts is seeing adults dismiss children as though they're not humans just because they're young. And I'm thinking they have more wherewithal of what's going on in the world than a lot of these adults.
Yes.
They see it for what it is. They see people for who they are. They understand human nature, I think, a lot better than a lot of adults, for sure. And I think that can teach us a lot. I think we are here to learn from. I think our children come into this world to teach us everything we need to know. Like 100%. To be honest, yeah,
100%. So that brings me to my next question. Do you feel like you can be Marcus's friend, or do you think parents should be their kids' friend?
I think there's a fine line with that. I think that the definition of friend with the child, yes. But how can I say this? I'm trying to think of my words. When I grew up, the adults in my life were very much do as I say, not as I do. Be seen, don't be heard, like things like this that had a very different, because it's a generational thing.
Yes.
I don't blame them. I come from boomers, like, and I no shade, but the way that their generation was raised was way worse than what we had. It's just like each generation tries to get better and tries to improve. Mm-hmm. However, it's not perfect.
Right.
But we were very much like, there was no friendships being had with any children. It was just being bossed around, if you will. So I take a different approach with it. So it's a good question. I don't know. How do you feel about that with like parents and being kids, friends and things like that?
Dakota's my best friend.
Yeah.
My mom doesn't like when I say that.
Yeah.
She's old school.
Yeah.
But Dakota is my best friend.
Yeah.
I love her to pieces, but she knows I'm her mother. Like, I don't believe in physical discipline.
Same.
Oh, really? Okay, great. Yeah. It didn't do anything for me.
Yeah.
I not to be vulgar, but I got my ass whipped. Like, and I love my parents, whatever, but it didn't do anything for me. And I just didn't want to do the same thing with her. So I do believe in gentle parenting, but I definitely do believe like you're not gonna like play the game with me either. Like my daughter, like I said, just because I won't pop you doesn't mean I don't know how. For one, let's get that clear.
So I think that's why it's hard for me to say like with the like when you ask, are you friends? Because it's like it's a different relationship than a friendship. But like I still see him like that's my buddy.
Yes, that's exactly.
Buddy, like he's just that's
my girl.
Pal,
yeah,
my right hand. We do everything together. Exactly. I actually have more fun with him than I do with friends. To be honest,
seriously,
I do. We do everything together. We go everywhere. I have the best time. And that's the thing. We vibe. We have the best time. I'm sure you like that with Dakota too.
Yep,
like
we
you
vibe.
just
100%.
Yeah.
Do you have the open door policy with your son, or do you think he's too young for?
What do you mean?
Like some parents, they shy away from being so honest. They shelter their kids. Are you like that with him? Do you shelter him?
I'm pretty honest with him about life, as long as it's age appropriate.
Okay.
So for example, he had heard Michael Jackson died. He's a huge Michael Jackson fan, went to school, came home and was like, how did Michael Jackson die? And I thought, okay. He doesn't, I don't think it's age appropriate right now to get into the whole drug part, because how do you explain that to a kid? I haven't dove into that yet with him. And I just figured, okay, so I told him it was a heart attack. And so he was like, oh, okay. He understood, because I thought, well, the drugs did give him a heart attack.
Yeah. You loopholed it.
Yeah. So age appropriate in what I felt he was able to understand. So he went to school the next day, came home, and he said, well, Mom, he said, a friend of mine told me in class, my classmate, that Michael Jackson died from drugs. Is that true? Because I told her she was wrong, and I told her that it was a heart attack. I said, well, actually, you both are right. Nobody's wrong.
Right.
So I'm honest with them like that. So we have very open and honest conversations, though. We're very honest with each other, but age appropriate. So I asked him, do you even know what drugs are? He was like, no, I have no idea, but that's what she said he died from. And I figured, I didn't think he knew.
Right.
And I didn't want to confuse him and open up a can of worms like too soon. So like you said, I kind of went around it.
Yeah. You navigated.
And still, navigated, but still gave him facts. Still gave him the truth. I'm not going to shelter him and hide, too much from him, because the real, but I do believe that the world can be very scary for a little kid to try to compartmentalize the information that you give them. Like, for example, I told him once before that something wasn't healthy, whether it was like soda. I told him, I don't drink soda because it's not all that healthy. Now, mind you, I walked in here with a Coca-Cola. So like, do I drink soda? Yes. I don't paint it out to be like, oh, you can't drink soda. But I had mentioned to him one time that I don't drink soda because it's not that healthy. Don't you know? Till this day, the kid will not have a sip of soda because I told him it was unhealthy. And I'm like, I need to watch how I frame things, because they can take it to the extreme in a sense, so but you have to know your kid.
Yes.
Not all kids do that. So it's a dance.
I like that.
It's a dance. Yeah.
You guys seem like you have a beautiful relationship.
Thank you.
Definitely.
Thanks.
I wanted to talk about, you see how the way the world is today with the school shootings and bullying with kids. How do you as a mom feel sending your baby to school every day? God,
that's really tough. It's a fear I didn't think that we would ever have.
Right.
But it's reality. I'm not in a position that I can homeschool him, or even if I could afford to send him to a private school, I'm not so sure that those are any safer than where he goes now. It's tough. It is. What can you say? I mean, I think it's every parent's worst nightmare to, have to think about it. But
has he talked to you about it at all? My daughter did, so.
Did she?
Mm-hmm. She asked me why are people bad? Like my daughter, Dakota will wish on a dandelion for world peace.
I love her.
Yes, she does.
Sweet baby.
She does. And her dad's like, who's going to tell her like that it doesn't exist? But I said, but you never know. When we're all gone, you never know what this world might become. I hope it gets better.
Yeah.
Because it's been bad for so long.
Sure.
But when she asked me about it, I just was honest. I told her the truth. I didn't have a choice because I knew she was going to find out regardless. And they're not locking down the school because they're delivering too much pizza. They're locking it down because you have to do these drills now. Right. So did he ever ask you about?
Yeah, he had their school locked locked them down recently, actually, like 2 weeks ago. There was just some random guy who was walking through their playground. And nowadays, I mean, if you went to my son's school, it's in a neighborhood. So even if you had to cross the neighborhood, like, I guess like if somebody really wanted to walk that way, I guess they could, but an adult should know not to like cross through school property, especially when school's in session. So it was just really odd.
Yeah.
So he told me that he saw the guy through through the window, and his teacher was the one that made the call to the school, and the school actually shut them down for a little bit and then got the guy and removed him. Don't know if he was ever like a real threat.
Right.
However, these are the times where you just have to make that call. Like, what's a random adult just walking through a kid's school? Like, and so he told me about it. Mm-hmm. He didn't ask too many questions as to like, well, why. He just seems to understand.
Yeah.
Okay, if there's a strange person that's not supposed to be in the school, that's not a teacher, and it's an adult, we have to take the next step. Like, he seems to understand that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just wondering.
It's tough, though.
Absolutely. 100%. Yeah. I wanted to ask like hypothetical questions for when he's older.
Sure.
Will you tell him about your past?
I will. I think it's important to have those types of honest and open communication for sure. Sure. I don't think now's the right time. He doesn't have social media either, so he doesn't see any.
That was going to be my next question.
Yeah, he doesn't see that now. Like, he's on YouTube Kids. I even keep him off of regular YouTube just because I can't monitor it 24/7.
Right.
But he doesn't even have a cell phone. He has an iPad. And on the iPad, he plays his games. But he's not like on TikTok, on Instagram. Like, he's not on that yet. I will have that conversation. I think it is important. I think kids should know where their parents come from and what they struggled with and how they overcame it, so that they can see you as, okay, like, this is something that used to be an issue or a challenge, but this is how they overcame it. And then they can be proud of their parent for that. Like, I think there's real strength in that. And I think there's also some, importance to share the struggles and to not shelter them from, oh, I'm this perfect person. We're not perfect.
We're not.
And even I tell him when he makes a mistake, he's so hard on himself. And I tell him all the time, like, we're human.
Right.
And we're supposed to make mistakes because nobody's perfect. What is perfection? Like, it doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist.
Exactly. So he gets it. So I think it's important to share that with them.
That's true.
Yeah.
I do ask all parents this question. When your son is older, hypothetically again, not putting anything out in the universe on him, if he was to still want to try drugs, such as marijuana.
Yeah.
How would you feel about that?
So I'm an advocate for cannabis, actually, because it helped me the first year throughout my recovery.
Really?
Yeah. I was a pill addict for 15 years. I completely rewired my brain to a point that I could not just go cold turkey and then stay cold turkey. Like, I was white knuckling every single day. I still had pain too. The physical pain that I had that I was taking the Percocet for was very real. Not anything that Advil could combat. So I started to venture into medical cannabis, and I went to go see a doctor, and I talked to my doctor about my pill problem. I said, I'm not looking to, become replace one with the other addiction. I don't want to be addicted to any of it anymore. I just want to use something as a tool to help me navigate this recovery so that I'm not, fiending for a fix. And so we talked about it. We came up with a long-term plan and a short-term plan and what that looked like. And I went to a dispensary for the first year or so into my recovery, maybe 2 years. But again, I was, I gave up alcohol. That was a struggle in itself. So I felt as though medical cannabis really helped me with not only my physical pain, but also with PTSD, sleep deprivation, and it was a very good therapy for me. As somebody in recovery that advocates for sobriety and for the recovery community, I get met with a lot of pushback because a lot of people feel as though you should be abstinent only and abstain 100%, and that's the only way. And I understand that framework, and I understand why that's so important for so many people. but it's not one size fits all.
That's right.
And so you got to find what works for you.
That's
and
true.
I think if you're aware enough to say, I'm going to use cannabis as a tool. So back to the question with my son. If he wanted to, I just want to talk to him about maybe like why it is that he wants to try it. Is it that he's feeling overwhelmed in school? Is he stressed out? Is he having a hard time sleeping? Mm-hmm. Does it help him with his nerves? Or is it something he's just trying recreationally with friends? And just try to keep that dialogue open without trying to come off like I'm trying to control the outcome, because he's going to be his own person and make his own choices. And I know that. So it'll be interesting. I'm not sure how exactly I would handle it. I can only imagine like wanting to have more open and honest conversations about why and what to do and safety precautions to take.
100%.
Yeah.
Who's your son more like, you or his father?
I think he's a mix of both.
In what way?
I think he's like his dad, where he's, he is kind of hard on himself, but also, that's a good question. How about I explain how he's most like me? From a soul level, this boy is me. Like we mesh on like a soul vibe, where he's always asking the bigger questions to the meaning of life and what does this mean and why is this the way it is. So his analytical mind like that is very much like me. I think when it comes to like books and school and following certain rules in life, that's more of his dad.
Okay.
Kind of like that. I am like the wild child, flower kid, who he has some of that too. So he's got like law and order, but then also like mom and like soul. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. And is he a mama's boy or a daddy's boy?
He's a mama's boy.
Yeah.
He's a mama's boy. Yeah, I think.
Do you want any more children?
I don't think so.
No?
I don't think so.
You answered that so fast. Oh, my God.
I've had some time to think about it. I'm 39. I'm going to be 40 in July.
You look freaking amazing.
Oh, thank you. I've been doing the single thing for a while, and I'm like loving it. I'm enjoying it, and I don't know if somebody came along maybe and that was a plan for them. I mean, I'd be open to talk about it. But as of right now, like I am way too happy with being a one and done and living right. Like I'm happy with where I'm at. So I don't know.
I feel like I'm looking in a mirror. It's crazy.
Really?
I literally said that the other day on the phone
Really?
to my best friends. Like I tried to navigate the dating world and it just wasn't like the best fit for me at the time.
Yeah.
But I'm loving life. You know what I mean? I like this version of Tiana.
Good.
This is the best, most healed version of myself. So when you just said it, I saw you light up and I saw that light that I have in me. It just beamed out. So I'm happy for you, by the way.
Thank you. Are you dating somebody now? Did you find somebody? Did I put you on the spot?
Oh my God. No. Actually, to be honest, I think someone might have found me.
Nice. Okay.
Because I feel like when, like I always say, like, love is a beautiful thing. But if it's not unconditional, there's no point. And I think that a lot of times us as humans, we go out looking for it.
Yeah.
And we bring back some bullshit, for lack of a better term.
For sure.
So I feel like when you stop looking for it and you let it find you, it finds you in the most, I don't know, strangest yet healed, yet ready but not ready places. If I'm making sense. Because one minute it's like, I can date. And next minute it's like, but I like being by myself. I like who I am alone. Yeah. Does that make sense?
100%.
So I do, to answer your question again, I think someone might have found me, but we'll see. Only time will tell. But for now, I am single.
Time will tell.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So when you decide to date, what will it take? What will the characteristics be that the person has to have in order for you to feel comfortable enough to bring him around your son?
Ooh, that's a good one. Huh. I don't know. I mean, I kind of have an idea in my mind, but the ideas that I have in my mind of what an ideal partner looks like, honestly, I'm just working on making that me so that I can attract that in. Like it's hard. I don't know. I don't know. And besides, when I was dating before and then I got married, it was like I wasn't a mom. And
it's different. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what it's going to take a lot of trust.
Yes.
A lot for me to even consider bringing somebody around my kid before you're a mom. It's like you could hang out and go out with anybody.
Yeah, just kick it.
It didn't really matter because it wasn't affecting somebody else.
Exactly.
And now it's like, oh no. Mm-mm.
Mama bear mode. You're not going to come over here and mess up with my kid. Yeah.
No. And I'm certainly not going to just invite him or introduce him
Yeah.
to just anybody
Right.
for them to come in and out. That is not an option. Like, no, he's
Right.
going to see, mom's good on her own. Mom's going to stand on her own. She's going to do her thing. She can be a strong, independent woman. And then when the right person comes along, like he will meet somebody. I'm sure of it.
Yeah.
But that's, I don't know. That's a good question. I guess, like you said, time will tell. Yeah.
Until then, we're enjoying our own company.
Yes.
And that's the way we like it, damn
yeah,
it.
Exactly.
I wanted to ask you another question when your son gets older. What if your son is dating someone and you don't exactly approve of them? Would you tell him, or would you let him experience the relationship and it's like, figure it out on your own?
Well, I'm not sure how it'll be when he dates a girl, but I can tell through friendships of his how he navigates different personality traits and how. So, for example, he's got a friend who will call him a lot. And a lot of times he's busy, so he can't answer. And the kid will kind of be relentless. And I understand they're young and they want that instant gratification. Call me, talk to me. I want so that happens a lot. And sometimes when he's on FaceTime with this friend, I'll say, hey, you got to go eat. He'll say, okay. He tells the friend, and the friend will kind of moan.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, what do you got to go for? Why? What do you mean you got to eat? Can't you just hang? So my son's just like, he gets off the phone and he'll tell me, hey, did you hear he was really upset? Yeah. But he is funny because I've taught him boundaries along the way. He said to me recently, yeah, he was upset that I had to get off the phone, but that's fine. He's allowed to feel upset. Not my problem. I had to go. And if he doesn't like it, it's fine. Like, he comes out with this stuff and I'm like, yes.
That's it.
That's it. Boundaries.
I love him.
So he knows. Yeah. And that's just from us having conversations, just everyday stuff where I'll say, he wanted a call. Like, that's fine, but, you have homework to do.
Right.
And I'll say, so I get it, but you have homework. And he goes, yeah, I know. But now he's learned that. And so that's his response to it is he's allowed to feel that way. He can feel frustrated.
Right.
It's not on me. I'm like, that's right. That's right.
Understood. 100%.
Yeah.
Now we're going to go back to dating really quick.
Yeah.
What's a deal breaker for you? I'll tell you mine if you tell me yours.
Please tell me yours. Help me out with this one.
Lying and cheating.
Yeah, that's a good one.
You cheat, you're done.
Yeah.
And I always give a disclaimer in the beginning.
What is it?
And they never believe me.
What?
You cheat, I leave.
Yeah.
I love you through anything, almost anything. Yeah. But I will not love you and stay with you if you cheat. And they never believe.
They don't believe you.
And I don't know, like most women, they'll go through the whole rigmarole. Mm-hmm. I don't do that. You'll know you're left when I stop answering the phone. I never say it's over. Or I don't, because I feel like at our grown age, people know what they're doing.
Yes.
And, you really can't control how people treat you, but you do have control of how much longer you'll allow them to do you any old kind of way.
Yes. So
I just take the power back, and when you can't get through, you'll know it's over.
Yes.
And so cheating and lying, no.
So good. And I always say, I hear people say all the time, I just need that closure. And I'm like, listen, their behavior was the closure.
It was enough closure. It's all the closure you needed.
That's it. You might expect to have this long, drawn out conversation with somebody, but those are your expectations. You are going to be disappointed every time. Yes. Lower those expectations, have none, and just understand that was the closure. The disrespect was the closure.
100%.
Yeah. Yeah.
First of all, I love you.
I love you.
Seriously.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I think you're an amazing human being.
I think you're amazing. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh my God, you're going to make me cry. Don't do that. Don't do that.
We just have so much in common.
We do.
And I think, when a real recognizes real, a soul recognizes a soul, and the struggle, and the pain, and the triumph, and that's huge. to connect with somebody. So I do. I feel connected to you, and I'm glad I'm here.
Thank you. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Thank you. I think you're absolutely resilient. Seriously. And your son, I know he's proud to call you mom.
Thanks.
Oh my God. All right. I'm going to ask the final question, I swear.
Okay.
Tell me 5 things that you feel make up a wonderful mother.
Truth and honesty, 1 and 2. That could be 1 and 2. Transparency. Mine are all like strength, resilience, transparency, truth, things like that. Like your values. That's what, to me, makes a good mom. But also just the everyday stuff, just showing up for them, giving them a place to just be themselves, not trying to control them, and just letting them be their, letting them just be free, I think just makes a great mom. Yeah.
I love that.
Thank you.
Those are wonderful values.
Yeah.
Thank you so much again for coming to sit down and
Thank
speak
you
with
for
me.
having me.
Absolutely. Come back anytime.
I will. Thanks, Tiana.
Absolutely. Everyone, that's a wrap for Parental Vision Podcast. Once again, I'm your host, Tiana Caprice. Until next time, bye.